everybody. We're just doing brownie bites today. So I've already got my pan ready to go because we've measured everything out in advance of this lesson, so we should have everything ready to go. So my butter is in this glass bowl and we're going to put on top of a pan of boiling water. So we need to be very careful. You can do this before you boil the water, but I just wanted to not stand here and talk about wait till the water's boiled. I wanted to get ahead so it didn't take too long. What we're going to do now is break the chocolate up and put that in with the butter. So dark chocolate is the one you need. You can just get the Tesco one if you want to, or the whatever supermarket one you find. So that's going to go all in together, and that's just going to melt the chocolate and butter together without burning the chocolate, because that's easily done. Again, rubbish in there. So I have my wooden spoon because it won't take long to melt, especially your butter is soft already. That's not going to take long at all. So we need to make sure we are doing that. In the meantime, while that's doing that, I'm going to prep my eggs. So eggs, what you have to do, we've done this previously, I think. So I'm going to tilt it to there. You're going to crack that like that into there. Rubbish. And then we need 2 eggs. So I'm just going to get that ready. I just want to show you. That's why I didn't prepare that. There we go. So eggs, you need to whisk them. I tend to just use a fork to whisk. So that gets whisked together while you're waiting there. So everything should be, the eggs are the only things that you should be prepping really in the classroom. I mean, you could bring them like that in a container, but I don't know what you find easier. But we need to make sure we've got everything else ready to go. So and ready to pour in. So that is melting. I'm going to get a tea towel ready because the bowl is going to be really hot. I've got my cases ready to go. So I'm going to get this on the bench because it keeps it still. It makes it easier. So we can obviously be aware that this is steam and steam can burn still. So we are melting using this melting method. This is called a bain-marie. And that's where you put the bowl over the steam of the pan. So you haven't got anything in the pan aside from water, boiling water. So that helps. Now that's already done. So we're going to turn the hob off. Now you will need some oven gloves to transfer that to your table. And if you can make sure that you have something like that tea towel there to pop that on top of. Okay, I'm going to make sure, now that is just boiling water, so if you haven't got any chocolate or butter on it, you can very carefully just empty that down the sink, and that pan should not be too dirty. So give it a wash, but it shouldn't be too bad. So I'll put in the pan now, just to make some room. That's hot, that bowl. It's been on boiling water. You've got to be very, very careful. So all the butter, we're going to put the sugar in now. So the soft brown sugar is going to go in once that's melted. So I'm just going to incorporate that into there. It smells delightful. It's the best smelling thing I think we make. So we're just going to stir that in. Just there. So that's all incorporated. So that's butter, sugar and chocolate that is going to go into the bowl. So now you're going to add your pre-measured flour and cocoa powder. You see I've already combined them together. So you can bring them to school together, that's fine because they're going in together. You might want to pre-sieve it as you're doing that. So just make sure you've got everything from that into there. So that's cocoa powder and flour. Put that to one side. So we're going to mix that in now. And then lastly, so we're going to make sure all that flour is involved there. That'll bring it back to a temperature where it's not going to cook the eggs. So that flour, additional flour, will help with not scrambling the eggs on top of that hot chocolate and butter. You don't want scrambled eggs in here. Okay, so now that's all like, it looks a bit like really dark sort of compost soil there now. So I'm going to add my already whisked eggs to that. Put my dishes to the side. So mix that together. I've already, by the way, I didn't mention preheating the oven. So I've already preheated the oven already. for this to go into, because you need to preheat. That's the first thing you do after you've cleaned and done the hygiene routine. Preheat the oven. Whenever you're doing cakes or anything that's going to go in the oven, you definitely need to preheat, but generally your teachers will check that, because it can be a bit of a game over situation if your oven's not preheated. These take about 20 minutes to bake, so we need to make sure we've got them in the oven before within 20 minutes of the lesson. Okay, if that, probably 15 minutes, get these all in. So now we're going to put the chocolate chips in. Just adds that's 100 grams in the pack already, so I knew I didn't need to measure them. I bought a 100 gram pack of them ready. Now you just mix them in, not too much, because it's supposed to be a bit rough. So now I've got my muffin cases ready, and as probably previously stated, I'm just going to get all of the extra off there. I don't want to waste any precious chocolate. So you're going to evenly put, there's a rugby match outside, so you might be able to hear some whistles and things like that. So that's what that noise is that you can hear. Year 11 playing rugby. So you're going to try and keep these even, because then they bake at the same time together. Now this is tricky because it is a very sticky mixture. It can be messy, so make sure you bring the case to the bowl. I would suggest you buy the bigger muffin cases. It might be easier. The reason we don't do a big brownie is because it takes too long to bake, but these taste like exactly the same, if not better. So you're just going to pop that in there like that. Make sure you distribute this evenly, like I said. Make sure you're using all of the mixture. You should get 12 out of this. You can top the ones up that are a bit more empty. Make sure you don't get too much. Don't get on the edges of the case, because that can then bake on and make it look unattractive. So if you want a really good looking set of cakes, you need to make sure you're not getting the mixture everywhere, especially not on the baking tray. There's no need for it to be on the baking tray. You need to wash it, but you don't want to be scraping cake off the baking tray that's cooked on. If you take the case to the bowl, that'll prevent that. And as long as you don't spill it on the way over to the tin, you should be good. So you can see, you can get big spoonfuls, pop it in. That's it. I think I'll have more than 12, but if you've got more than 12, we've got only limited oven space. That's the door closing. So we can't have people with like 2 trays of things in the oven, because we've run out of space. So you might have to take the mixture home and make the rest at home. You could make like a bigger brownie at home with that remaining mixture. You could make some more cakes, because we do have limitations in terms of oven space. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of mixture left, I think. You can see I'm tapping it in like that, and that stops it from dripping over the side. So if you just tap it like that, it stops it from dripping, so you have messy cases. It's quite a thick mixture. Lots of yummy things in there. So we're just gonna, oops, that's a bit too much in that one. So you just need to be careful not to overfill it, because they can spill over. They're going to rise because they have got the self-raising flour in, which has the raisin agent, and they also have the eggs in. So you're going to have a rise. So they're going to be like a nice size still. These are really good if you want to make like a dinner party for someone, and you can make these and it's like a single portion of brownie rather than having to cut it up. So this is like a really nice easy win. Everyone likes chocolate brownie, surely. I'm just going to top these up because there's a few that are not as full as the others. So that one, make sure they're all quite even. Actually, that's perfect 12, because I'm just going to get my spatula and do some scraping, because you don't want to waste any. Let's get rid of that spoon there. Scrape it round. Make sure you get all of those edges off. I think of all the foods in the world, I try not to waste chocolate. One of my favourites. Right, okay, so put that one in there. Again, be very careful taking it over to the tray because you don't want to put chocolate all over the tray. Just if you dab it, it'll eventually all come off if you've got like a, if you find it hard to move away from the tray. Right, let's get some extra in that one. Make sure you haven't got a drippiness there, that's it. Put some in that one. So we tap like that, it stops it from dripping. So just make sure we fill them all up so they're all evenly sized. Okay, and they're ready to go in the oven. Should be about 20-30 minutes. And then you can do your dishes. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you do your homework. So what you have to do is complete the usual document where you create an instruction guide before your practical lesson. Make sure you bring it with all your ingredients pre-measured, pre-produced in terms of you can mix the flour and the cocoa powder together. You can whisk the eggs and put them in a flask or something if you want to, but just make sure you're as prepared as possible for the lesson because there's a risk of it running over and then we've got other classes coming in. So just make sure we're all ready and you've got a container to take them home in as well. That's really important. And your apron, of course. All right, thank you. Bye.